Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'll be taking a look at the Xbox Series S, the cheapest next-gen gaming console currently out there. The Series S came out in November 2020, and this was the first next-gen console out of the three that I managed to get my hands on. And after 18 months from its initial release, is this all-digital console still worth it? So I'll go through the spec, show you what you get for the price, what features, if any, it's missing, go through the main differences between the Xbox Series X and S, and why I think this is the best entry-level gaming console which could potentially double up as a PC, and why I think it's still worth getting. But before I begin, let me know in the comments what console you're currently gaming on. And if you're new to the channel, hope you can support me by subscribing and hitting the bell icon to get notified of my next release. The Series S is much smaller than the Series X. It's about 60% smaller with a rectangular shape, but not a boxy design like the X. Coming around the front, you have a USB port, power button with a black and white Xbox logo, a sync button allowing you to sync up a controller, and at the top you have a black fan grille. At the sides you have the grills for ventilation, but on the left hand side there's some rubber pads allowing you to have it standing vertically. Coming around the back, you have the ports, which consist of an Ethernet port, two USB 3 ports, a HDMI 2.1 port, storage expansion port, power input, and a Kensington locking point. Underneath you have a small grill area and rubber pads allowing you to place it horizontally. It has a very simplistic design, taking up minimal space, and I think it looks really cool. In the packaging you get a power cable, HDMI 2.0 cable, even though it has a HDMI 2.1 port, which means it is next gen ready and can potentially output 4K at 120Hz. There's also some batteries for the controller and a white controller that has black joysticks and a black D-pad. The ergonomic design is really nice with a textured feel on the grips and triggers, and feels really comfortable when gaming with it. The main difference between this and the previous Xbox One controller is that it has an additional share button, but beyond that there isn't a lot of change from the Xbox One controller, but there wasn't anything bad about the design and the feel of the controller anyway. Storage wise, the Series S has 512GB of onboard storage, which is half of what you get with the Series X, and after updates you actually have about 364 gigs of available storage, which is probably enough to store about 5 or 6 games, but it really depends on which games you're downloading. For example, if you downloaded Forza Horizon 5 and Call of Duty Warzone, these games will take up around 190GB, which is over 50% of the capacity just for 2 games. Now it may be worth expanding the storage so you don't have to keep clearing up space and re-downloading games. You have 2 options available. First is the expansion card, and you can get this from Seagate. These come in a number of sizes and allow you to play games directly from the storage and make use of quick resume, but price wise it's pretty expensive. Alternatively, you could buy a cheap external hard disk for a fraction of the cost and just move games onto it. You won't be able to play Xbox Series X and S games or Xbox One games that have been upgraded directly off it, as it will be just used as a location to move games onto when you're not playing them and move back when you want to play them. But you can play older Xbox games, but depending on how many games you regularly play, you could get away with not expanding and just clear up space and download when you want to play. Personally, I had a spare 500 gig drive, so I just bought one of these drive caddies, which works pretty well for me. Now if you're wondering what's the difference between the Series X and S, well, the most noticeable difference is its size, with the Series S being 60% smaller. The Series S is also a step up from the last generation of Xbox consoles in terms of speed and load times, as it uses an SSD drive, plus it's very quiet, just like the Xbox X. Have a listen to this. The CPU is similar but not identical, with the Xbox running at 3.8 GHz, while the S has a 3.6 GHz processor. The GPU on these also differ, with the X having 12 teraflops of processing power and the S having 4 teraflops. Internal storage on the Series X is 1 terabyte and the S has 512 gigabytes. The picture resolution is one of the major differences, as on the Series X you get true 4K at 3840 by 2160, whereas on the Series S you get 1440p. And if you're gaming on a 4K TV or monitor, that will get upscaled to 4K, meaning you will get a 4K resolution at 3840 by 2160, but it wouldn't be as sharp as you'd get on the Series X. This may seem bad, but to be honest, it isn't. especially if you're gaming on a monitor that supports 1440p, plus it also supports auto low latency mode, variable refresh rate, and AMD FreeSync, and you still get 120Hz refresh rate on both the consoles. But even with these differences, you can play all the same next-gen games that you can play on the Series X, so you're not limited in the selection available. Now, comparing the picture quality side by side, I've got the consoles plugged into my LG OLED C1 55-inch TV, which supports HDMI 2.1, and I'm using a HDMI 2.1 cable on both the consoles. Starting up Forza Horizon 5 and looking at the image quality on both, they look very similar, with the Series X looking slightly sharper. But moving in closer, you can see the difference in picture quality. The Xbox Series X seems much clearer and very sharp at 4K. The picture looks softer and just slightly blurred, with it being just a little bit pixelated. Now, this isn't much of a deal breaker, and to be honest, the picture quality is still really good, and you won't see much of a difference, as you really need a 4K monitor or TV to really appreciate the quality. Game Pass is one of the things I really do appreciate with the Xbox. You have access to hundreds of games via the Game Pass, and with cloud gaming, you have access to gaming through your browser, phone, and on your tablet, which gives you more ways to interact than ever before. Plus, due to the number of games you have available, you end up trying games that you normally wouldn't consider. You do have games that are optimized for both the Series X and S, together with a large catalogue of games from the Xbox One and 360 games to new releases, giving you access to literally hundreds of games, which is really amazing. But if you do like buying physical games or movies, or borrowing, swapping discs with your friends, then the Series S won't be right, as it doesn't have a disc drive and no ability to play Blu-ray discs. Personally, I don't see this as a big issue, as I found myself just getting the Game Pass and having access to hundreds of games, which I feel is more value for money. Another next-gen feature on the Series S that also features on the Series X is the quick resume, where you can close one game down and start another in a matter of seconds, and then go back to your first game and pick up from exactly where you left off, as it saves it at the point of exactly where you left it. So a really cool feature. Then there's the Xbox app, which works with both the Series X and S. This allows you to remotely install games, manage the games you have installed, and even remote play games on your phone or tablet from anywhere in the world. So some really cool features available. Now, one of the things which I thought would be interesting to test out is if you could use the Xbox Series S as a PC. So I've connected up my wireless Logitech keyboard and mouse to my Series S, which is connected to my Gigabyte M32U monitor. You can use the keyboard to navigate around, but not the mouse. Now, going into My Games, then Apps, you will see Microsoft Edge, and this is installed by default, and open it for a first time, you'll get this black box around the window. And to turn this off, go to Settings, TV and Display Options, under Advanced, select the Video, Fidelity and Overscan, and uncheck Apps can add a border option. Then going back into the browser, you get a full screen experience, and browsing the internet is just like on any other device. But from time to time, you will get the keyboard pop-up window as the Xbox thinks you're using the controller. This happens when you're using Microsoft Office in the browser, but you can even go into full screen mode by clicking F11. So the basics of browsing the web and working on Office documents is there. So actually it's not bad. Gaming with a keyboard and mouse is possible, but it's limited to certain games like Fortnite, Halo, and Call of Duty, for example. So there isn't a huge range of games, but you could get one of these GameSir VX2 Aimbox input adapters, allowing you to use a keyboard and mouse on any game. And this works on both the Series X and S. So to experience it as a PC isn't too bad. Plus, if you had it set up on your gaming desk and you want to use it with a keyboard and mouse, you have some additional options available, which is pretty cool. Audio-wise, the Series S supports everything you need, just like the Series X, which includes Dolby Digital, DTS, True HD, and Atmos. Neither of the consoles have an optical port, so you need to use a HDMI cable to your TV or soundbar. So it's awesome for both gaming and entertainment. The Series S, as well as the X, also supports streaming apps like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Disney Plus. And the quality from this is 4K, so you can definitely experience 4K picture quality from your streaming service on your 4K TV or monitor. So in summary, is the Xbox Series S worth it? In my opinion, it definitely is. It's a next-gen gaming console, which is almost half the price of the Series X. It will play the same games as the Series X. It's quiet, has a quick resume on games, the speed is fast, and the load time is really quick. Plus it's small enough to fit in your backpack so you can take it to a friend's house or even away with you on holiday. Then you have the Game Pass, which gives you access to hundreds of digital games, which you can download onto the internal storage, depending on the size of the games, but on average you could get away with around 5 or 6 games on there. It supports 1440p resolution at 120Hz refresh rate, plus doubles up as a 4K streaming box for your movies or shows from Netflix, Amazon Prime and Disney+. Price-wise, it comes in at £249 in the UK or $299, which is almost half the price of the Series X. But if it's essential for you to have a disc drive for your physical games and movies, and you do like buying and collecting CDs, plus if you had a 4K display and want the true 4K gaming experience and your budget wasn't limited, then the Series X would be a better fit. So there you have it. You made it to the end of another video, and I hope it's helped anyone thinking of purchasing this. Details are in the description below, including purchasing links. And if you're still here, drop an Xbox Series S in the comments, as it's nice to see who's made it to the end of my videos. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to be notified of my next release. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks for viewing, and see you in the next one.